You guys, is there anything better than fan art? I mean, I don't know, but probably not. Because, you know, they always say that imitation is the highest form of flattery, but fan art is to go even further beyond. Yeah. It's to create something new out of the same DNA of something that you already loved. I mean, when I created the Skyrim Audio Adventure, I did it because I was so enamored by the spontaneity of the experiences that the game was allowing me to have. It was this feeling of adventure that not only like stuck with me in my waking hours and my dreams, it just sort of bled into every aspect of my life, this way of looking at the world that I always found was a great gift. And so I wanted to create something based on that kind of loose and almost spontaneous experience. But then, of course, as I created it, it became a bit more of a planned thing. It became less based on what was happening in the game and more my own writer brain taking over. And I have deviated slightly, but the bones of the story are still that original playthrough. And I hope that if there is an enduring character in the work, it is still the world, Skyrim. I once had the privilege of meeting a musical artist that I was quite fond of while he was selling albums at a convention. And in that brief, period of interaction that was allowed by my purchase, I told him that just his music filled me with so much creative energy. It was like listening to the score of a movie that didn't exist. And so it invited my brain to just fill in the blanks. And every time I listened to his music, I would always just, like, the scenes and the characters and the world would just flash before that inward eye, and I would just, like, be filled with this need to create, to draw, to write, to do something. And he told me that it is the greatest compliment that a writer can get, to know that their art has inspired more art. And I hold that sentiment very close. So, one of the great joys, one of the great thrills of this whole process of making the Skyrim Audio Adventure is hearing about you guys writing, about you guys creating your own stories, and you guys actually taking the time to do fan art based on my characters. And that is, a huge honor, and just like, as I said, it's the greatest compliment that I could ever receive. So today, surrounded by an electrical box and some plants and a cat who's lurking around somewhere, we are going to have a look at some of the fan art that I've been sent. And I am going to confess right here that a significant portion of this fan art is stuff that I have commissioned from artists. And that was not a difficult decision for me to include that, because I am a fan of what I do. I enjoy this, I like it, and I am always geeking out about my own stuff. And you can call that vain if you wish, but we're including it here to celebrate the artists and to celebrate everyone who's volunteered this. That is a lesser goldfinch right there. Any bird nerds out there, there's a lesser goldfinch hanging out right there on the fountain. Hello, kitty. Meow. 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 She's always angry about something. We never quite know what. She's a queen of disestablishmentarianism. Now, as some of you may know, I had the incredible fortune back at the beginning of this process to befriend the author of a Skyrim webcomic called The Lost Goddess, a Skyrim story, Mafuria, or Mafu. She's an incredibly talented artist, and she was kind enough to offer me a cameo in her comic. And this was that cameo. It's a moment when the main characters are traveling by carriage from Whiterun to Ivarstead. And here you can just barely see them passing by in the background, as the foreground is Stranger with a big shaggy black dog that is obviously meant to be Titus the One-Eyed Wolf. Now, this is the first time that I had seen anyone other than myself draw Stranger, and it remains incredibly, incredibly special to me. This version of Stranger is obviously from Book 2. I had already conceptualized what he would eventually look like, even while I was still writing Book 1. You can tell by the shorter hair, the chainmail, the arm wraps, And there is the false finger. And this was the first time that anyone other than me had drawn the false finger. Like, I had drawn her up a little bit of a schematic to kind of give her an idea of what it would look like, and she just nailed the execution. It is so good. And so in return, I gave her character, Nim, or Nimriel, a cameo in my story. And we have just been nerding out about each other's stuff ever since. It has been a very fulfilling friendship, and I encourage any of you who want to commission something from her to reach out from her. Lord knows I did it. I did it twice, and here they are. This is a format that she does called tarot cards, where she'll draw maybe one central figure, and the background of the card will be a little bit more esoteric and mosaic. For this piece, I had asked her to do this kind of simple clasped hands pose of Stranger holding an amulet of Talos. And everything else about this, the red hair in the background, the forest, the leaves, the scenes, the big red moon, the opaque image of the bow, the wolf coming around, coming out of that red hair. Everything else about this, including the ivy creeping up his legs, was straight from the top of Mafu's dome. It is hard for me to fathom how she came up with this. It is so cool. It is so balanced down to a T. It's an incredibly dynamic piece stemming from a very undynamic pose. And now we come to a piece that she just finished for me, which is tentatively titled What Anise Saw. In the final fight of Book 1, when Anise is defeated, I made the choice to, in the final moments of that conflict, switch to Anise's perspective. Stranger had basically just been blown up, and so I found it difficult to get into his headspace, and I had already described so much pain and so much effort and pain and blood and loss in the and grief in the course of that fight that it felt tiresome for me to end it with more of the same. I wanted to do something different, and so I switched it to Anise's perspective and gave the audience an outside look at our protagonist. And I don't know if I succeeded. It's really up to everybody else, but it is meant to be terrifying. You are meant to kind of feel bad for Anise, because this thing that is Stranger doesn't feel like it should be walking, but it is. It doesn't feel like it should be alive, but it is. It is holding a weapon that she doesn't understand. It is walking with a purpose that she knows all too well, and it is being held up by something well beyond her imagination. In that moment, Stranger is meant to feel scary, and I asked Mafu to show me what Anise saw, to show me what she was witnessing in her final moments. I wanted her to take this kind of wiry protagonist and make him terrifying. And this might be the best thing I've ever seen her draw. It is not just intimidating, not just unsettling, but beautiful. Genuinely beautiful. Horrifying in its details. Mysterious. And I am just proud to know the person that made this. Again, if you want to commission Mafuria for anything, there is a link in the description. Please check her out, support her work. She is awesome. Now, as I was approaching the end of Book 1, an artist on Discord came to me named Ongoingstill and asked if they could do some art for me. And I, of course, accepted. And they not just did some art for me, but they also did the thumbnails for Part 2 and Part 3 of Chapter 15 of Book 1, The Necromancer. In this image here, we can see in the shadowy depths of the forest as the hunter is evading the beast. This terrible, fell Atronach, this abomination of bones and black magic. I think that Ongoingstill really nails the proportions in this piece. Stranger looks small and terrified, and he looks very suitably shaggy. There's always, the impetus to create a character that looks kind of clean, but I love that he does kind of look like a dirty forest man in this. And then you have the beast with this big skeletal hands, and it's like kind of skeletal but kind of Dementor hand, and the And there's a sense that, you know, there's that skull, which looks like it's the head, but there might be something underneath that too. It doesn't look entirely functional. It almost looks like it's some sort of shell, and the rest of the body is this kind of curling amorphous thing. I think this is a really cool piece. It captures some of the mystery of the beast. The idea that the bones are like a shell and there's something even worse underneath. And here we see a scene from part 3 of book 1, when Aella is sitting beside Stranger as he is bound up and bedridden, recovering from the many wounds that he sustained during his fight with Anise and the beast. I kind of like how we don't see too much, but what we see is enough. We see the burns on the side of the face. We see Aella's torn sleeves, this kind of... I've actually made an effort in this story, because in Skyrim, everyone's always walking around in their armor. And I made an effort to, you know, describe characters who are typically very warrior-like outside of that warrior context. Describe what they would be wearing just on a day about town when they're not doing their warrior thing. And I thought the Ongoingstill really nailed Aella's clothes here. Finally, the light from the candle, lovely little Skyrim potion on the table, and just the whole lighting of the scene is very deliberate and gives this very somber feel, which matches the tone perfectly. This next piece was drawn by Speedy64 and was sent to me by their father, Speedy12, and it is just a completely different approach to the character, and I was very excited when I saw it. The clothes look so cool. The fur hunter armor, the strap across the chest, the bandoliers, and the belts and the pockets, everything looks really amazing. And then there's, of course, the abomination or the beast hanging out in the background. Again, a completely different interpretation of that being. We see scarring across the face. We see that the index finger on the right hand is short, which is correct. And we see the Sword of Ice looking incredibly grand. And this was actually the first time that I had seen someone draw that sword, and it's very, very cool looking. And I cannot give enough props to Speedy64 for creating this. It really seems like they zeroed in on a few key details and then just sort of ran with the rest. And I think that the product is very, very cool. Now, while the voice of Aella, Kat Loveland, and I were doing a little bit of improv, kind of meant to be like a call out to be played in the background of this short little paragraph describing as Stranger kind of gets up on the back of the horse, it evolved into this bigger scene, and I actually published it as its own little audio vignette called Stranger Rides a Horse. And my good friend Saul was so incredibly taken by that piece that he commissioned this art from an artist called Baswara on Fiverr, of Stranger looking very bewildered as he attempts to mount Pebble. Aella here looking on, wearing her signature shoulder armor, and just like befuddled by why this is taking him so long. It's a very cool and comedic piece that was born from something that really was just a spontaneous moment of improv that just evolved and evolved. So Saul, if you're watching this, salute to you. And if anyone else here wants to commission Baswara, link in the description. Now, on my Discord, I do have a fan art tab that people are free to post to, and that's normally where I end up sticking stuff that I've been working on or I've commissioned. And this was posted by a user named Natnas, and is kind of like a proof of concept art outline of the character of Stranger, and it is incredible looking. It kind of has that style of like a Vox Machina, Mighty Nine kind of feel to it, but this is just an incredibly cool look for him. I really hope that at some point Natnas picks this up again and does something else with it, because just this little taste, it's awesome. I mean, look at it. And it seems like there was an effort here to try to draw Stranger from different points in his story. There it says Book 1, Chapter 1, and then it gets cut off on the side there. But I really hope that Natnas continued to work on this, because it is so good. Now this is something that I did in an app called Hero Forge. Hero Forge did not sponsor this video. It would have been cool if they did, but they did not. I was turned on to Hero Forge by a guy who uses it to make some incredible images, and that would be Plagued Coffee. Here we can see some of his work on his characters, images that he makes using the tools in Hero Forge. He does lots of fantasy style characters. He's got his own characters from his own story that he himself works on, and then he has done Stranger and Ayala and even Bracknell. These are some images of his Stranger. This is Stranger with his Plague Doctor OC. This is Stranger arguing with his Skyrim OC. And this rather dark image, you might need to get to put your phone in the shadows or maybe adjust the brightness to see this one. But this is Stranger and Bracknell hiding from the beast, hiding in the forest. As Stranger is looking at his hands and having an existential crisis, which is a near constant state for him, poor guy. This is Stranger drawing his bow on the beast. Here we see the beast again. This one looking like very big and hulking, almost like it's made out of the forest. This is the kind of creature that is scary because like a tree next to you just got up and started moving towards you. It's a whole different ballpark. And here we see Ayala giving Stranger a taste of his own medicine with a frying pan to the face. Come on, his face doesn't need that. It's already kind of jacked up. And here we see Ayala trusting Stranger with a bow, telling him it's time to step up. And here we see both characters running through the forest. This is a funny little image of Stranger if he was a modern day hunter. They're using a hunting rifle. And this, of course, is a very cool portrait that Plagued Coffee actually did when I told them that I wanted to include them in this video. They were like, okay, hold on, let me put out one more thing. And look at that. I would, honest to goodness, make that my profile pic if I wasn't so committed to having my old cat as my profile pic. Like, honestly, like that cat, I had that cat since I was 5 to the time that I was 27. So, like, it's tough to beat that cat. But if I wasn't so married to that picture of my cat, this would be my profile picture yesterday. All right. And now we come to the final image. This is something that I commissioned from a YouTuber named RogueUzu, who, if you type in like D&D romance story, you're probably seen RogueUzu's videos. I always thought that her art style was incredible, and I was very thrilled to find out that she does take commissions. And I asked her to bring to life one of the final scenes from Book 1 when Stranger and Ayala are drinking together in the Sleeping Giant. And man, I just love how this came out. I love so many little details about it. I remember when I first saw it, I thought, isn't Ayala's arm kind of thick? But then I was like, nah, she's powerful. She's not... Like, she looks like a woman who could fucking throw you through a table. She looks like a fucking unit. And her hair looks amazing. The sloshing drink, the little fangs kind of hinting at the werewolfness. And the expression on Stranger's burnt up face where he's just kind of looking at her like, geez, woman, you are a lot. And I just think that there's so much to love and enjoy about this image. I love this piece so much, and I love it so much that I am going to give all of you a little bit of a gift here. As you know, I voiced much more of the cast in Book 1 than I did in Book 2. Kind of my big, meta project for Book 2 was to make it almost a full cast. And to only play Stranger, Bracknell, and, some of the smaller roles that I didn't really feel like I needed to hire anyone for. Working alongside the voice of Ayala, Kat Loveland, has been one of the great thrills of Book 2. However, I sometimes lament the fact that I didn't have her for Book 1. And I've periodically wondered if I should go back and remaster Book 1 with all the current cast. And it would just be so much work. It would be so much work, and it would be so much kind of unnecessary work. And I'm still... it's a hard enough battle to get any of these episodes out that I really don't need to do that to myself. But you know what? Because of this art, me and Kat got together and we performed a little funny excerpt from that scene at the end of Book 1. I took out all the prose. We just did it as dialogue, actors acting off of each other. It's the spiritual successor to Stranger Rides a Horse, and I will release it as a separate video after this one goes up. But here you go. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you sent me fan art, you are an absolute legend. If you want to send me fan art, you are a legend in the making. If you want to commission any of the artists that I've commissioned, then you are the king of kings. Look upon their works, despair, all the rest. Thank you guys so much. And with that, I leave you with the scene. Stranger and Ayala have a drink. Cheers to you. Speaking of which, you ever stumble into those giants of yours?
Oh, no, actually. They've been avoiding the farms.
You mean they've been avoiding you?
Flattery. The bane of the stoic and honorable.
Shall I stop?
I never said that.
Sure you won't have another ale? No thanks.
He won't be drinking at all tonight. He's still recovering from, saving the entire hold.
Hey, don't worry about it. Heroes can afford clothes that fit.
Heroes deserve a stiff drink. I pity you.
It's probably for the best. I seem to make a lot of mistakes when I drink.
Mistakes, huh? The fun kind?
The fun kind. Oh, no, no, not me. Not lately. I make the kind of mistakes that get me kicked out of places like this.
Oh, right, yeah. I think I heard about that.
From who?
From Brack.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think tonight's a good night for mistakes anyway. I fear I'll spring 100 leaks.
Are you sure you're okay?
I mean... No. Between this and that, I'm not okay at all, but that's fine. That's just what it is. How about you?
What?
Are you okay?
Of course I'm okay. Why the fuck wouldn't I be okay?
Okay, I was just thinking...
Yeah, well, don't. You'll just get hurt again.
Fine. You're okay. Better than okay, actually.
That's right. I'm the goddamn wolf of Whiterun.
Is that all you are then?
I thought you said you weren't in a state to make mistakes.
Well, not the fun kind.
So then, we'll just do the next best thing.
That being?
Here, take a look around. Come here.
Oh God, what is happening?
Now tell me, who in this tavern you'd want to make a mistake with?
Really?
Yeah. Come on, it's fun.
No.
I'll do it too. Come on.
I'm not playing this game, all right?
Why not? Like you said, it's just a game.
All right, fine. Let's see. I haven't even used this part of my brain for a while. Sigrid.
Okay, I don't really know these people. Which one's Sigrid?
Over there with the reddish hair.
Oh, next to the blacksmith?
Yeah, that's Alvor. She's his wife, actually.
Stranger, you have a thing for the blacksmith's wife?
Okay, shut up. You asked.
I am shocked and appalled.
Oh my God.
What would the people of this fine town think if they knew they had such a homewrecker in their midst?
I'm not going to do anything about it.
Oh, of course not. Look at her husband.
That's not even the... Guys, why did I even start?
The smithy's wife. Now that's worthy of a novel, isn't it? Say, have you ever read the lusty...
Okay. Who would you make a mistake with?
Oh, that's easy. The smithy's wife.
My laughing hurts. Oh no. Okay, listen.
Yes.
Listen, I might be a vagrant,
A vagabond.
a wastrel,
A wanderer.
a hooligan.
A scoundrel.
Okay, watch it. The point is, I can be a homewrecker, but you? A noble warrior of Yscamore's companions?
Please. But what can I say? You do have good taste.
She's so pretty, isn't she?
She's gorgeous.
Are you blushing?
No. I mean, maybe. I guess so.
Is the wolf of Whiterun blushing?
Okay. But you want to do another one?